Hey, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Dan, and I'm super excited about today's big idea. But first, Jacob, share with us an experience that totally blew your mind.
Well, I remember when I was younger, my stepdad took me to see Monster Truck Show for the first time. And when I was a kid watching these giant machines with wheels the size of my family car take off of jumps and clear cars, 10 cars long, it totally blew my mind.
Man, that sounds awesome. Today's big idea is that God blows our minds. So let's watch this God story and see what that's all about.
Whether it is providing for our needs, nudging us to do something, or seeing the amazing details he leaves for us in I was about to say creature. Creature. Hi everyone, it's Jen, and it's so great to be back with you today. I want to share with you a fact that kind of blows my mind. See, not too long ago, I moved to the city of Toronto in Canada. And did you know that Toronto is the most multicultural city in the whole world? There are 250 different ethnicities there and over 180 languages spoken. I didn't even know that there were that many languages. Today we are talking about something, or should I say someone, that continually blows my mind. Today's big idea is God blows our minds. He really does. God blows my mind with his love for us, his faithfulness, his care of creation, his kids. I could go on and on. And today, we're gonna hear a story where God blows even more minds. In Daniel 2, we find out that King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and it troubled him so much that he couldn't sleep. So he sent for the wisest men to help him explain what it meant. Now, some of these guys got their knowledge from evil magic, and some of them got their knowledge from the heavens. And actually, the ones who got their magic from the heavens, that's kind of like what the wise men were like when they came to visit Jesus. Anyway, King Nebuchadnezzar, or King Neb for short, sent for the wisest men he could find. And he wanted these men to tell him what he had dreamed and what it meant. These wise men were totally confused. They said to King Neb, "You tell us your dream and we'll tell you what it meant." But for King Neb, that wasn't good enough. He's like, "You tell me my dream or I'm going to put you to death." They told him that no one on earth could do what he was asking. It was too hard. They said no one could tell you except the gods. The king was so mad at this answer that he ordered all of them be put to death. Now, Daniel and his friends were part of the wise men, so even though they weren't actually there at that moment, they were going to be put to death too. When Daniel found out, he went to his friends, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael. Let's read what happens next. He asked them to pray that the God of heaven would give him mercy. He wanted God to help him understand the mystery of the king's dream. Then he and his friends wouldn't be killed along with Babylon's other wise men. During that night, God gave Daniel a vision. He showed him what the mystery was all about. Then Daniel praised the God of heaven. Just like that, God gave Daniel a vision to know what the dream was all about. Mind blown. All of the wisest men in the kingdom couldn't figure this out, but Daniel just asked God, and God told Daniel what the whole thing was about. God is so amazing. So then Daniel offers a prayer and praise to God. Let's read what Daniel prayed. May God be praised forever and ever. He is wise and powerful. He changes times and seasons. He removes some kings from power. He causes other kings to rule. The wisdom of those who are wise comes from him. He gives knowledge to those who have understanding. He explains deep and hidden things. He knows what happens in the darkest places. And where he is, everything is light. God of my people of long ago, I thank and praise you. You have given me wisdom and power. You have made known to me what we asked you for. You have shown us the king's dream. That morning, Daniel went to see the king, and King Neb asked, "Can you tell me what my dream was? Can you tell me what it means?" Daniel explained, "You have asked us to explain a mystery to you, and no wise man can do that. And those who try to explain it by using magic can't do it either. But there is a God in heaven who can explain mysteries." Daniel then goes on to explain the dream that the king had. It was a dream about a large statue made of a bunch of different materials: gold, silver, bronze, iron, and clay. Each part represented a different kingdom that would rule, and then a large rock came and smashed the statue to pieces. That rock represented a kingdom that God would set up, a kingdom that would last forever. Then the king bowed down in front of Daniel to honor him. The king said, "I'm sure your God is the greatest God of all. He is the Lord of kings. He explains mysteries. That's why you were able to explain the mystery of my dream." Then the king put Daniel in a position of authority. He was ruler over the city of Babylon and the towns in it, and he ruled over all of the wise men. Mind blown. We don't always see it, but sometimes God can really blow our minds. One of the amazing things about being a Christ follower is getting to share amazing stories of how awesome God is and see other people's minds be blown by God too. We read about many of those stories in our Bibles, but God also blows our minds in different ways today too. Whether it is providing for our needs in some way, nudging us to do something, or being aware of the incredible details He leaves for us in nature. God is an amazing God, and He blows our minds. Well, friends, it was so great to be with you again today. I will see you next time.
Can you believe King Nebuchadnezzar? He wanted them to know what he had dreamt. It's like if you're telling your friend you have an idea for a movie or a game, but then you expect them to tell you what your idea is?
It sounds crazy, but it shows how amazing God is that He revealed the real answer to Daniel.
And if you think God only did amazing things thousands of years ago, think again. We have this story about our friend Noah that will blow your mind. Watch this.
I just love that in photography, it's so creative. I like to go to a lot of different places and experiment with different colors and lighting. My way of thinking of how to share a story through a photograph is by just the mood of it. I prefer to have dark, moody light. I like to put people in different places and see how they look like, and then experiment a lot with colors and lighting.
So when Noah was 4 or 5 years old, he would watch television in a really bizarre way. He would kind of tilt his head back like this, and my father one day said, you know, maybe you should get his eyes checked. And it turns out he had to see a kid specialist because his eyesight was very poor. In fact, they told us it was like a point or two away from legally blind. And so there I was on my knees, you know, sort of pouring my heart out before God. And in all this pain, I sort of cried out to God and said, God, do you understand what I'm going through? Do you know how terrible it is to see your son suffer and not be able to do anything about it? I actually said those words. And then, like, of course, moments later, I realized that, of course, if anyone understood what I was going through, it was God, the Father, who sent His Son and endured watching Him suffer on the cross. God touched his eyes not in a way that I was expecting Him to, because around 11 or 12 years old, when he would steal my phone, he would take pictures. And I noticed that almost every picture he took was so incredibly artful. They were all so beautiful.
If I took my glasses off, I wouldn't be able to do anything really, because I wouldn't be able to see patterns or lights. So glasses really helped me with my photography.
The way he looks fits his passion.
I find my inspiration from other people such as Sam Kolder or Matthew Blum. They're really amazing at portraits and sharing a story. My process is usually just coming home and putting the SD card into my computer and editing for maybe 30 minutes, experimenting with artificial colors and different techniques. So a year or two ago, I went outside in Florida and realized that it was very misty and sort of dark. So I rushed outside to the beach and snapped a photo. And so I submitted it to a website called National Geographic Kids. every year 5 to 10 photos were picked out of 45,000, and I got picked.
As a father, I was just so incredibly proud and pleased to see the attention he was getting.
The more I think about it, the more I realize that God is actually in photography a lot more than I realize, especially when I'm just walking outside in the woods, day or night, and I see stars or trees and colors. It really is peaceful and reminds me of God's creation.
What I'm seeing, not just in Noah, but in my other sons, I have 4 of them, God is also apparently taking their weaknesses, these issues that they're dealing with, and each one of them are different. And what's amazing is that we are also recognizing these incredible strengths in those areas. And so I'm just continually amazed at how God is repeating this kind of thing in all of us.
God was able to turn my biggest weakness, which was my eyes. I was almost legally blind, and turn them into my greatest strength, which is just picking up a camera and being able to see the world through that, and not through my eyes.
I love photography, and let me tell you, Noah is super talented.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that he can use his talents to show that God is awesome?
This is truly a case where the world says something can't be done, but then God says, trust me.
Nothing is impossible with God. And just like Noah's dad prayed for him, we can ask God to change our circumstances, no matter what.
Well, it's time to break into small groups. So let's see what this looks like in our lives.